welcome back to my new channel. If you didn't catch the last video, my name is Steph. I am a Christian wife. I am a mother of 2 little girls, and I have just recently started this channel for the purpose of encouraging other women in the vocation of homemaking. And another thing to say is I have moved country, so I'm currently just getting settled in. I'm originally from Northern Ireland, and we have recently moved to the United States of America, to the beautiful state of Pennsylvania. So I would love for you to stick around, grab yourself a nice drink, whatever is your favourite, and just come join me for 10 minutes while I have a chit chat here about my story. And that is what I feel I think would be the best thing to share right now. I think storytelling is so powerful, and I know personally I have found other women's stories really encouraging, especially in the vocation of homemaking, which can often feel very overlooked and sometimes isolating even, especially in today's culture, where I think there is a big push on career for women and not so much drive on the home and the importance of a solid Christian home. And so that is what I sort of want to speak to in sharing my story today. So a little bit about me as my background. I grew up going to school, obviously. I wasn't homeschooled. I went to a normal, I think Americans would call it like public state school. It was a grammar school in Northern Ireland. And then I went to university and studied for my undergraduate degree in nursing. So I was then a registered nurse, worked as a nurse for a couple of years in a few different jobs, trying to figure out where it was that I was going to settle, where God was calling me. And then I felt a desire to study again. So I actually went back to university and then studied midwifery. So I became a registered midwife as well, and then practiced for a couple of years as a midwife. Again, missed studying, so went back and did my master's degree and really enjoyed that. It was a particular focus then on women and child health, and my dissertation actually I completed on breastfeeding and maternal mental health. So all that was really, really interesting and so relevant at the time, as that's whenever I was pregnant and expecting my first, and that sort of coincided with giving birth to my first. But anyways, so long story short, I was working and fell pregnant. I had been married, and we were delighted to be expecting. I think we had celebrated our first year wedding anniversary, and I think I was about halfway through the pregnancy then. So it was just such great news. We were so delighted, had no idea what to expect other than just what I knew from my midwifery degree. But yeah, there I was, had my first baby, was meant to be returning to work after a year's maternity leave, and found myself 3 months postpartum thinking, I am not leaving her. I don't want to leave her. I love my baby girl so much. I did not expect to feel that way. I had seen many women go through pregnancy, cared for them in it, childbirth, and the postpartum period, but actually living out that experience personally myself, it was just life-changing and so crazy, but so great. And I just was like, I want to stay with her. I want to be her primary caregiver, and I feel this dread at the thought of going back to work. And so as the time went on, I started looking into it, and we prayed about the decision, and we decided we'd figure out a plan where I would leave my job. I was contracted to go back, so by God's grace we were able to get a very reduced contract for the very minimum period that I needed to go back in order to honour that maternity leave. And so I was back like a day a week for 3 months. And thankfully my husband was able to care for my baby in that time. So anyways, I'm so glad that I made this decision, and it was not what I would expect, in the sense that it's actually changed my life. Hands down, I can say that it has changed my life in so many ways and for the better. And so if you are watching this and are thinking about staying at home, or you're not sure, or maybe you are, but you're sort of second guessing it because you just hear so many other voices, can I please just encourage you that from my testimony, it has just been the best thing. It's crazy too, because I subsequently started looking into what God's word said. I came across a few different videos that taught on this, and I can do a follow-up video on the biblical framework that I then found, which is so funny because at that time I wasn't going off that. Even as a Christian, I was simply just had this gut feeling. So that would be something I also encourage you as a mother, if you're just starting out, or if you're a wee bit further along, or if you've got more children than me, as I'm by no means an expert. And I think that's what I would love this channel to be, is a place where we can share with one another and encourage one another in that journey. But to summarize, I would just encourage you to go with your gut, because it's probably really not wrong. And I think it's there for a reason. And actually, the research that I did in my master's degree totally backs that up, that mum brain is a thing, and it's there for a biological reason. It is a safety mechanism for protecting you and your baby. So whenever you're distracted and you're talking to someone, but you're like, what is my kid doing in the background? That is good, and that is God's design. He has changed your brain, and that brain change happens when you have your baby, and it's irreversible change. And it's just testament to the fact that as a woman, when you go through that process, that you have gone through the biggest change of your life. And that is what I have felt and found for myself too. But since staying home, then I have started looking into like rhythms and routines, and figuring out, having looked at other women and other stay-at-home mothers and homemakers, Christian ones for examples, as to how to do this well, how to pursue this in a way that is God honoring and bringing him glory. And honestly, it's just been the craziest journey, because I've got into like different things. So I got into God's word and went through that framework, and I now see my role in a way as to being the helpmate to my husband, and that I am his helper. And actually, I think that was something that I really overlooked when we first got married. I never really even thought about, and just how important a woman's presence in the home is for her husband, and just in those simple reflective conversations as they're talking about their day at work, that I didn't have the time or the mental capacity to really engage with in any sort of meaningful level when I was personally working outside the home. And often I was worried about my own things, or had, something going on in my own job. And so I feel I'm able to be the best version of myself for my husband and for my children, that I can give them the best, because my attention is not directed elsewhere, and I don't feel this tug or this pull in that direction. And so it has been such a blessing. But also then looking into diet, even as I started to wean, I was breastfeeding my first baby, and as I started to wean her onto the solid food and looking at food labels, which I'd never had the time to really look into before, I couldn't believe what I found in the food labels, and just the amount of additives in so many things to make them shelf stable. And so I've been on a journey with food and cooking from scratch and baking from scratch, and trying to get into healthier living and healthier ways of eating and sourcing food. And so if that's something you're interested in, please stick around, because I will absolutely be sharing things on that as well. But anyways, that's a wrap for me today. I just want to encourage anybody that's listening that it is such a noble calling. I don't think it is put forward as an option for women in many positive lights, and I think we need to be giving it more credit especially on platforms like YouTube, where we can be reaching women that are maybe thinking or really deciding what to do. And that's why these videos of me just even going about the chores are there, because there's something really nice about seeing someone else just doing the same things that you would be doing when you're caring for your children, and yet also having that chat and being that village for one another that we've lost in our modern age. So anyways, thank you so much for coming along with me today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you will like and subscribe for future videos to encourage this little tiny small channel to get off the ground. And please comment and just let me know if you're here and what your background is, so I know the audience that I am speaking to. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Everyone needs a helping hand. Everyone needs someone to rely on. Yes, everyone needs a friend. So let's come together, celebrate each other, stand united as one. We lift our hands up and pray, lay all our love before Him with all of our faith. He is the change within us, there is a light. Let Him lead the way, lift our hands up and